Hello, everyone, and welcome to a very late, but albeit still here, track guide for Suzuka this week in the LMP3. Apologies for this one being late. I'm doing a league this actually for the next like 9 weeks or so, or I guess 8 weeks at this point, and I'm focusing pretty heavily on that. And those league races end up coming like the day that I would normally put this out, like on Monday. So I'm usually pretty tied up in practicing for that, and it ends up being actually a completely different track from what the weekly race is. So these will be a bit late for the next couple of weeks. I'll try and work on it for the next series, but I'm just being very focused. I am actually driving the LMP3, and I'm just trying to do well. So I'm not driving tracks that are not in the series, basically. And so when I come to these tracks, I'm actually on a bit less practice. So my lap times are not super representative. I actually, since having recorded this replay that we're using, I've shaved like 7 tenths off of this, but I think it is still a pretty good lap for a race, like decent amount of fuel in the car race for the week. So I'm still going to show you this one. This is a 54.1, and I think this is a pretty decent time based on what I've seen. If you can get into the 53s, I think that's pretty good. If you can get even lower, I think that's really good. But for the purpose of this, I think a 54.1 is nice middle ground, and you should do quite well. And there's some easy places that we'll talk about throughout the lap that should net you a little bit more time. So as usual, we'll jump into the lap, we'll watch it at full speed, and then we'll talk about it. All right, so this is the lap. Like I said, there's actually quite a few mistakes in this. I'm going to be very upfront. I think it is important to kind of show some of these mistakes because I don't want to show you guys a perfect lap. As always, this is something that you can try to be attainable. You can try to aspire to. It should be something attainable, and it's not going to be perfect. You're not really going to do perfect. I mean, maybe you will. You're just like that. I'm not like that, so I don't do perfect laps every race. So I want to show you those laps with a bit of mistakes. And actually, one of these has an off track, but there's still some lessons to learn from this, so this is the one that we're going to use. All right, so very important as you're coming down here. I think on qualifying, I just try to tuck it into the right here as we come down because in my mind it's a shorter run. So as if you decide to do that, just work your way over to the left as quickly as you can. Just working your way over here. This is one of two really tricky corners on this track. So if we go into the cockpit view, trying to touch the grass like I did, but you do want to get really close because every inch is going to matter as you open up this corner. So as you're coming down here, you're going to be going pretty quick, right? So I think the inclination here is like turn in early and brake a lot, but you actually want to do the opposite. So I want to actually approach this corner, and if you can see where we're going, like you're not actually apexing here on the inside of this corner, right? You are kind of ignoring this corner as best you can and using it to set up the exit. So if you look at the track map, you kind of come in over here, and then this corner is really important. For this one, it's almost more important to just focus on the setup for the next corner, not so much trying to like do this corner as you would normally. So your idea is to get on the brakes actually a little earlier than you think. Don't try to just fly in here because you're just not going to be able to slow the car down and you're not going to accomplish what you want. And we're at like 30% brake pressure. You can even try a little bit less, work up to this. I think later laps I did a little less and I was actually gaining like a lot of time. But you have to build up to it. And I think it's also kind of risky in a race, right? So you want to actually try to be pretty mid-track. So if we look at it, from outside, I'm not over here and I'm not trying to be. In this car, I don't find much benefit in trying to get onto these marks. So like maybe it works in other cars, but in this car you don't need to because I want to keep my speed up and try to get parallel with the track here. So my goal is to just balance the as little brakes as possible because you do need to slow down. You actually get a little bit more as you start to straighten up and then you want to run out here. You can actually like put two wheels on this curb. It's fine. I wouldn't go any more because apart from an off track, like it just unsettles the car. You bottom a bit on this, but you want to kind of line yourself up to this. And so when you're at about this point, you see you're still turning, right? You never really get straight. You want to be looking out here. So now that we're looking to the right, and you can kind of see we're trailing the brakes still. We carried a bunch of speed into here, right? You want to trail the brakes in until you're done turning. Your apex is going to be, right about here, as you can see the marks, so you can look for this as a reference. They're not going to disappear. And then you want to start to pick the power up. And it's very important because the corner kind of falls down a bit and you're in like a little bit of a bowl to just continue to turn a bit. You need to keep turning because if you just get on the power, you're just going to go straight. So get on the power, feed it in, but just keep turning. And then your goal, if you kind of look at what we got, you need to carry speed out here. This is going to be where my mistake is, but you want to carry speed out here, but you can follow like the rubber line on the track. You need to then immediately get back over there. So be looking over here now, and then just try and carry this out. I didn't turn enough. Like I straightened for a little bit, as you can see, which I would just say just keep turning. And I'm actually going to go off here, and then right here I get an off track. Here's the thing. You can get off tracks in the race, right? I would prioritize carrying speed out of here instead of checking up. Obviously, you don't want to carry too much and go over here and spin, but I would prioritize carrying speed, and if you get a 1x, you just get a 1x, right? Obviously, not something you want to do in qualifying, but like in the race, I would take the 1x. But ideally, you want this car to be over here. So these wheels that are being here, be here, right? So consider that, but I want to show you that mistake that I had because it could very easily happen. But I just continue on, right? My goal now is this really complex S section. I do not think in this car that you need to go all the way over here. If you can get over here, like you don't make that mistake run wide, you can get over here, great. But the priority of this corner is to actually kind of treat it like a bit of a straightaway. And yes, you can kind of do that a little better if you open this up, but it's not the end of the world, I don't think. Carry some speed into here, right? And I'm not full throttle because you can't be. It is still a corner, but you want to kind of again sacrifice it to focus on setting this corner up. And I'm just gonna come in over this curb a bit. Again, just bleeding the throttle out, and I'm bleeding the throttle out to help the car turn. If I was full throttle here, the car wouldn't turn. So I'm just carrying as much throttle as the car will possibly take and still be able to turn. And I'm just gonna run right up on this. It hooks you a bit. You don't need to be fully up on here, but like it doesn't matter if you're on here or if you're right here, but just try and get as close to this as possible. For me, it is a good visual reference to see, this part of the like turf. So I'm just aiming for it every time. And again, it's consistency, right? I build consistency from that. And then my goal now is to just carry as much full throttle as I can, not too long, because this corner kind of goes uphill a little bit, but it's a little deceivingly its angle. So I'm going to brake a bit and just kind of roll some speed in here. And then I'm back on the throttle and I start to balance the throttle, balance the throttle, balance the throttle, balance the throttle. You do not need to get out over here. It doesn't matter. Because now your next goal in the SS is making this corner. But making this corner also comes with a compromise for the next corner. So we'll continue and you'll see we want to give a bit of brake and just kind of feed it in again. You're going to try to hook onto this bit of turf. And you can actually see if you hook it right, you just ride along it. And it's actually really good. If you get it a little off, you're going to be steering a little too much. So try to get these wheels right in here. And then your goal now is keep turning, but give it some power because you're going uphill. You want to keep your momentum up. You don't want to be off the throttle along here. Come in nice and tight-ish to this corner. This corner is very deceiving. It's actually this one. It's this one, so it's quite long, and it kind of falls down the track. So you actually can't. There's a couple things you can't do. You can't be like all on the curb because as the track falls away, the car loses grip and you'll like start to spin. You also can't be like on power, and you also can't be like a bunch on the brakes. So you have to really balance here. So I'm actually running speed in, carrying some brake in as I turn, and I'm like falling now. The car is falling. I'm using like 1% brake pressure, like really just trying to keep as much speed as I can, but I know I can't go back on the power yet. And you're just looking for your exit. The goal here is to now I'm going to feed some power back in, and I'm staying really tight because the way the corner goes, you want to actually stay tight. You don't want to end up out over here. You could see it with the rubber line. Run it really tight and then start to come out. But you can't come out super far. Like you're 3/4 of the track. You're not on the rumble strip. You're not on the curbing. You're close, but you're not all out there. Give that to yourself with some leeway. But I promise you, if you go too far over here, you are not going to be able to make this corner that you want to, and then run up the hill on the like bit of a straightaway. It's not really a straightaway because it has a corner, but it's pretty flat. You're going to suffer. So I would focus on being mid-track here, and again, compromise this exit a bit to set this corner up, because this is more important, the exit of this corner. So now you can see we're pretty in the throttle, and you're going to try and carry this, and you need to open this up a bit, but not a lot. Understand that there's a bit of a camber to the track here. So you have to lift the way the corner goes, because you can see it here. You're here right now, you know. You got to kind of get around this thing and then get all the way up. There's danger on the outside, so you want to lift, but again, you're going uphill, so keep some throttle and just start to feed it back in. You're going to have to play with this one in your practice. You want to feed it in and open this up. Just try to get to flat as much as you can and go as far out here as you can. Here's the danger. So we're going to watch the rest of this from the outside view. As you can see, you can't really see where you need to go. Just keep your eyes up. The danger here is getting on this grass. Getting on the grass here is not so much of a problem, but since you're trying to keep this, you're running flat, the car is still turning, and you want to be open as much as possible, the danger here is touching this grass and dirt. Do not touch this. You will spin the car. The way the car is loaded up, if you get a tire on this, you're spinning. And you can pretty much call it the end of the race. Like you're probably not going to survive it. So while your eyes need to be forward, you need to be paying attention that you don't go too wide. So that was a lot, on the brain. So before we go into the next part of the track, just understand what you want to prioritize, watch that section again, and then just focus on your priorities and keep your eyes up. Keep your eyes up. So we're going to come around here flat. I'm going to go back to cockpit view so we can see. This is going to be a longer video because we're not even halfway through the track, so just bear with me. Okay, this is very important. As you can see, you're apexing here, but what you can't see is there's actually another right-hand corner, which is actually the important corner. This is not the important corner. Your goal is to carry as much speed through as possible. So you want to carry throttle for as long as possible. I overlap my inputs a little bit. Don't do that. And just honestly, I would brake a little softer than this. I have found since this lap, more time by just braking softer. You don't actually need to brake a lot. The car is actually fine with you just rolling the speed through here. But turn in, and then like as soon as you touch this curb, pretty much, if you let's take a look at it. You can pretty much get back on throttle. It's gonna bounce a little bit. It's fine. Just try to minimize the bouncing, but it's fine. I got on throttle a little late. I would get on a little earlier and just roll this out. You know, you have another couple feet over here, so get the car over here. It's okay. You can brake. I would not brake with my right wheels on the top of this, but down in here is fine. So if you need to run out here, but then get your left wheels back here. And then your goal is, as you can see, I kind of like really forced it there, because I like you can brake on this, but like obviously the tarmac is gonna be better. But you're still fine to brake on this. Like don't break your neck to get back down. Very straightforward corner. The track is not straightforward. So you're actually in like a big slump of a track, and you're gonna fall into a bowl that is then going to also be up there. So it's gonna be like this over here, and then flatten out. But you just want to carry as much speed through as possible. So brake earlier than you think you need to. Try to carry speed into the corner. Hook yourself in here a bit. I think maybe you can turn into this a little later. I don't know, play around with it. It depends on your driving style. Like you can for sure be on here more, but not too much because you don't want to bounce. Like you can bounce off this curb. So maybe just the wheels, the right wheels on this. And then once you get through it, I think I just went wide. I've done this better. But feed the power back in. Just feed it back in and go wide here. It's okay. This is not an off track. No, it is an off track. Huh, I lied. No, I think that's from something else. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is not an off track. You guys will be watching this and you'll correct me, but adjust yourself accordingly. Figure out what the off track is, but run yourself nice and wide. Get back on the tarmac. Another important corner. You can ruin your race here. This is a very treacherous track, so remember, eyes up. Look around the corner. Understand what you need to do. You're going to have a short period of straightaway where you can brake, and then it's a tight hairpin. So come around the corner. As you're coming around, get yourself aligned to the right side of the track a lot. Don't touch the grass, but align yourself to the right side of the track as best you can. And then, so this is a very interesting skill, and I think like the Cup car teaches this really well, but it is still applicable in this car. And I think I could brake a little later, but I would say for you guys, do this. So as you're turning, feed the brakes in a little bit, and then you can get harder on the brakes. Right? So we get hard on the brakes, slow down a lot. We're still going like 80 miles an hour. You got to get down to like 60 or below. And then the track falls away. So turn into the corner a little earlier than you think you need to, because the track will help you turn. And then just very light brake pressure. You don't need a lot. A lot will make you understeer. So just very light brake pressure. You got a bunch of wheel in the car. You might even go past 90. Consider that. And then I gotta go past 90 here. And then you're gonna start to pick the throttle up once you've kind of gotten a bit through the corner. Pick the throttle up and then unwind your hands really quick. Unwind them fast. Pick the throttle up. Touch the traction control a little bit, no big deal. And then just come out here. Don't go too wide. It's just hard to get back over, and there's like a big bump right there. Don't go too wide. But now we're looking ahead. Run the car nice and tight here. So this is a straightaway, quote unquote, even though it has corners. We're just trying to minimize the distance. So run it nice and tight. Then run it out. Nice arc to run it tight again. Okay, important corner here. You want to get nice and far to the right. And then look at what you've got. It's similar to turn one. This corner is not the important corner. The really important corner is the last one onto the long straight. I mess it up a bit here, but now I have the benefit of hindsight, and I can kind of tell you guys a little more what you need to do to do this. So as we approach this corner, this is your marker of what you need to do. So just as you know are about to touch this, you want to breeze into the brakes a little more than halfway and just carry it in. You need that initial hard brake to be able to turn the car for this tighter part of the corner, but you then want to be very light on the brakes. I would even say initial brake can be a little softer, but play around with it and just roll as much speed into here as possible. Like you could be like 10% brake right now. Roll the speed in. You're going to see me get back to throttle. It's because I just went too slow. So if that happens to you, you can do that. But try to just roll the speed in. Practice it a couple times, go too fast, not be able to make the corner, and then you'll understand it. But roll the speed in and get yourself right up on this curb to open this up. Again, I should be on the brakes here because I've carried more speed in, not on the throttle. And then what you want to do is come off the curb around here. You'll still be a bit on the brakes, right? And you're just trying to float the car. There's a period actually in this car where you don't do anything because the track's falling away. You're trying to get the car turned. You've slowed down enough. Too much brake, you're going to spin. Throttle, you're going to understeer. So you actually, is a rare occasion where you'll coast, and then you'll start to pick the power back up and continue to turn onto the straightaway. Run the car nice and wide. All this is okay. Very important corner, but not for the reason that you think. It is flat, so let's fast forward a bit. It's getting a little long. Completely flat. I would not shift. If you're at the top of fifth and you bang off the limiter here, you're going fast enough. Don't shift until after you make it through the corner. You can maybe go a little wider, just keep it straight. So if you keep it straighter at the corner, you'll carry an extra mile an hour or two. Now, very important, get yourself back to the left very quickly because you have a tight right-hand corner. And you're going to brake about halfway between the 100 and 150. I've pushed it as far as this white one. I remember the second white one. It works. I would not try to do that all the time, especially with high fuel. Halfway in between is a good marker. And then you're just looking far ahead. A lot of brake pressure. Start to bleed it off. Start to bleed it off. Don't do the Nicholas Latifi and go to this one. You're actually going to the second one. Throw the car in a bit. You see I still have a bunch of speed because what we're going to do is we're going to destroy this curb. Just run over this thing. Boop. You can actually go even deeper and end up over here. I've found it is faster. So like if you're not trying to do that, well, the point I'm trying to make is like don't beat yourself up if you run too much speed in here. Focus on the goal, which is the exit. And what you want to do now is get yourself over to the left as much as possible. You can mount the hell out of this curb. Like, you could probably be on it even more, to be honest. Yeah, you for sure can be on it more. But your goal is mount this curb and then get out of here. You don't want to be in this space for too long. So, car's starting to settle a little bit. Feed the power back in and let's go. Careful on the car getting light as you go over the hill. Especially if you touch these curbs, which you can, but the car will get light, so be careful. You want to have light hands here. And then just run it on in. That's a lap of Suzuka. This video is almost 25 minutes long, so I want to thank you guys for your patience. Let me know how your lap goes, how your week goes. I'll post any updates in my timing or anything that I find in the pinned comment. But anyway, thank you guys for your time. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and have a good week racing. See ya.